everyone, welcome to Dr. Quack House Calls. I'm Dr. Quack, and we are going into our second section today on the dating process. If you haven't checked out my first video, you should definitely. It'll be posted up here in the link. Make sure you check that out. I want to talk about the actual relationships that you go through, because at this point, basically, you've already went on a date. You guys have figured out, maybe a couple dates, you guys have figured out, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you. That's what you want to do. So then we call that kind of the honeymooners phase, because everybody's got the warm and fuzzies. Everybody's all like, oh, it's so cute. Everything you do, feeling the love. You don't say love yet, but you're admiring them. You're doing that. You want to, be around them all the time. You want to have them hang out with your friends, and she wants to meet your friends and all that stuff. You want to have people meet each other. You want to start the whole social experience. The big thing I will tell you, slow and steady is a big thing on this, because you're just entering a relationship, and you're holding hands. You're hugging, you're kissing, you may be, doing more than that. But the big thing is, it's learning about each other to see if you're compatible. Because, that first date, I will tell you, you liked that first date, and you went out, and everything was great. But then you notice it's kind of like a pyramid here. Right here is where you are, right? Everything's all together, you're loving each other. But you will notice as you go further down, sometimes you will start to see that person you first met may not be the same person. And that's why I tell you on that first date, don't put up a front. But some people do. And you'll notice that, more of their real side will come out. You'll have certain things that they do that may annoy you. And you may annoy them. This is normal stuff. That's just what happens. It's called kind of an adjusting period. You're learning more about your partner. They're learning more about you. You want to kind of not show off too much, because you're afraid that you may scare them. There may be secrets in your closet that you don't want to really tell them just yet. If you have kids, at this point, until you're later down the line, I would suggest not introducing kids into a relationship. That's not just damaging for you guys, it's also damaging for kids. You have to be careful on that. You have to do that really delicately. You don't want to just spring it on them, especially if they're older kids. I'm not talking like your ages 2 through 5. I'm talking like you're, maybe 10 and above. Your preteens, your teenagers, your soon-to-be adults. Those are something that you really have to be careful with. And a big thing here, communication. Communication is so important. This is where communicating started. It started on your date. You were telling little things. You might tell a little more stuff. Things you're interested in, things that you want to do with your life. And it's not just you telling, it's you listening. Because, you may have one partner who, wants to have several kids, and you may have the other partner who does not want kids. You have various different things like that. You may have someone that has a job and they're working most of the time, and that's something you're going to have to accept more and more, because you have career and you have relationship. Those all got to intertwine. You might have somebody who's working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And that's male or female. Believe me, that in this day and age, that is pretty common. And you may have somebody who has a part-time job somewhere, who might have a lot more time to do things. Might be an entrepreneur, doing podcasts and getting paid or something. Things like that. There's a lot of things you have to understand. Time. You don't always have the time. But you make the time. That's the big thing. You have to make the time to understand each other. Another big thing that gets misconstrued sometimes, and I like to call this, yours is now ours. Okay? All that free money that you had, and that place where you're by yourself in your apartment, or if you're renting out, you're staying at home, wherever, your own space. When you move in with someone, that changes, okay? Because now it's our space, it's our money, right? You guys might be both having an apartment, and that means you both got to pay the rent because you're both on the lease. You know, you got the water bill, electric bill, all the other bills, the phone, the car payments. And this is where things can get dicey. Because sometimes you're going to want to, have things for yourself. And sometimes you're both going to want to have things together. When you talk about 2 car payments, when you get further along in the relationship, you may go, hey, we only need 1 car. Especially if one's working and one's not working, or one's working from home. If you're both working, you're probably going to need both cars. Probably. But these are things you got to decide. You're going to have to talk about. You're going to have to figure out. Expenses. Friendships. This is a big one I've noticed in relationships here. It's not necessarily the man and the woman, or however you want to do it. It's not just the 2 people in the relationship. It's everybody outside of it. There's a lot of people that are outside of it that are involved. Your friends, your best friends. Men and women both listen to their best friends, and they may go, I don't think he's right for you, or I don't think she's right for you. And a lot of times when you're in that early stages of relationship, you have what you call love blinders. You're not in love, but you have those blinders on where, hey, I don't see that. No, there's no way she's like that. No, what are you talking about? You don't know. He's such a good guy. And, friends see it. And a lot of times it gets ignored. So, because especially the more closer you become as a couple, the more you're going to, see things. And sometimes friends are right, sometimes friends are wrong. If you're a friend that has, you're being the third wheel, and you have 2 people dating, my suggestion is do not get involved in that. Let them go. Do not tell them things like that. Because if you do and you're right, they're going to feel bad. They may be mad at you. They might blame you. Or if you're wrong, they're definitely going to blame you. And then they're going to cut all ties with you. So if you value your friendship, people, don't get into people's business. It's okay to talk to your friends about your relationships. Maybe, you're going through a tough time. You need somebody to talk to. But you got to watch what you say and how you say it. Because A and B will be like scissors here. They will cut you. You will be see you out. That's what it'll be. You'll be gone. So you have to be, careful with that. Sometimes you're going to have maybe a party or something. Or you're going to go to a party, while you're together. And you may be going to her friend's house or his friend's house. Or both people's friends might be there. So, you might have some mutual friends, potentially. And that does happen as well. These are things that, you're going to have to handle. Because, of course, if you go to a party and you're in a relationship, and I've felt this many a times. If you go into a party and you're in a relationship and you're not there with your significant other, you will have just about everybody in that party that knows you. They will go, well, where's your spouse? Where's your woman? Where's your man? Every freaking time that will happen. My personal suggestion is if you're in a relationship, if you're hanging out with your boys or your girls' night, cool. If you're going to a party, you might want to go together because otherwise you're going to hear that. And that is a very irritating thing. It's one thing if you hear it once or twice, but when you hear it from everybody, oh man, what's going on? Why isn't she here? Da 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 da. It puts a lot of pressure on you. It puts a lot of pressure on the other person. Other person may be working. Other person may have had a bad day and wanted to stay home. Other person may have had something else they wanted to do and they didn't show up. The guys over here, the girls over there. It might have happened like that. So, I'm speaking to people in general. If you see the guy that's in a relationship by himself, don't ask him that so much. Because it's just a pain in the ass to answer 50 times. It's something that pisses people off. They get upset. And I've seen it 100 times. It's bad. Another big thing I really want to point out, okay? And this is something that's near and dear to me, okay? Pets. dogs, cats, lizards, snakes, whatever. Spiders, mice, animals. Okay? It's going to be a difficult time for them, especially if you're going into the moving in phase. You know, like if you've been together maybe 2-3 months and you might go, you know what? We should move in together. You know, and that for me right there, when should you move in? I think that's the best time to probably go. You want a couple months to be together. You want to understand, maybe longer. It's not a real like timetable. That's where you got to be. Anything under a month, that's the probability is bad. Okay, it's not always bad, but it's bad. You know, you're taking a high risk because you move in. Maybe all of a sudden somebody wasn't ready. Maybe somebody was pissed off. Maybe they're still had their ex still talking to them, which that happens. And God, if you're in a relationship, exes, other people that you're went on dates on, they go away. They should go away. Okay? But your pets, they're going to have tough times, especially, women generally have cats. Okay? Men generally have dogs. Sometimes it's the other way around. But both of you have animals, right? Let's say that. Guy moves into the girl's house. Guy has a dog, and she has 2 cats, right? They may not get along. These are things that you have to either get some knowledge on how to do this. With cats and dogs, they need time to get acclimated to each other. So that's kind of like what you guys need as a relationship. The same thing. You have to be acclimated, because you're going to do things that piss her off and she's going to do things that piss you off. Guarantee that. How you handle that is on you. Okay? That is, like if she's out there, let's say she's chewing her nails or something and it gets on your nerves and it's loud or something and you come at her and you're like, will you stop chewing your nails? That is not going to go over well. Believe that. You got to be able to have communication. That's something I'm going back to, and it's something that I feel really strong about. Communication. Communication is key. Okay? You got to be able to tell things. Hey, honey, maybe you might ask, hey, honey, are you okay? Or what's the matter? And she might ask why, and you might say, well, you're biting your nails, and she might be nervous about something. And that's where she might come to you and tell you what's going on. Or she may not. Those are things. Communication is a big deal. Okay? But pets, yes, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but pets have to be accounted for. Okay? They're going into a new environment. You want to make sure that they're a part of it. The next one is another big one here. Meeting the parents. Okay, it can be one of the most nerve-wracking things in general because you're talking about your partner and the people who raised them, who took care of them when they were young, who birthed them, the mother and father. Make sure you come in there relaxed. Don't go in there so tense. Strike up conversations. Small talk is fine. You don't have to go into the deep-seated traumas of life. You don't have to do that. But small conversations. Sell yourself, Show the reason why your partner picked you. That's a big thing. And a lot of people don't do that. They get the antsies over there. They get nervous. They get worried that, oh God, if her parents don't like me, I'm not. No. It's okay to be you. Maybe not full-fledged you turned up to 11, but it's okay to, breathe and have small talk and be able to talk to people. It's okay. Because you got to do that in life. You got to do that with strangers. You got to do that with friends, coworkers, all sorts. A big question I'm going to answer, and this is my final one. How do you keep the romance alive when you move in together? How do you do it? Because people get comfortable. Okay? You notice when you're first there together, you're all over each other. You might be going at it like 2 Arizona jackrabbits. Okay? and you can't stop, you can't get enough, eventually that is going to fade. And that is where you have to make sure that you're still giving that, communication, that love, that feeling, because if you go out the first couple months and you go out to eat a couple times a week, or you might go to a bar to shoot pool, or you might do some other stuff, that's great. But then it might come down like 3 months, 4 months down the road, 6 months down the road, where you're like, I don't want to go out anymore. I just want to stay at home. I want to be a hermit, And I'm not talking like spending time at home with your partner. I'm talking about isolation. That is something you don't want to do, okay? It's okay to have your life, but don't isolate your partner out at the same time. It's okay. Like for me, for example, right now I'm cutting a podcast. I'm doing something that I love to do, okay? And right now, my woman, she's doing something that she wants to do. You got to have that separation sometimes, but you also want to come together. You also want to do things together. It might be watching a movie, eating dinner, going out, shopping, whatever it is. There might be many things that you want to do together. But you got to have your own space too. It's called breathability. But that is my episode here on relationships. If you have any questions, by all means, click on it. I want to answer them if I can. I'll give you my best answer. Everybody's got, questions. I have people ask me questions quite often that are not directly involved in this, so I try to answer them. I try to have a good relationship with my friends and try to make sure I do things right. But yeah, if you can, like, share, and subscribe to this video. Definitely share my podcast. Look, I love people to watch my stuff. I love to get input. So if you got input, you can put it in the comments section. Or if you know me, you can message me. Either way, I'm Dr. Quack, and thank you for choosing House Calls.